A wealthy prep school student accused of murder.
He was the only person in the vehicle.
If we extend the trajectory, I'm 5'8". I cannot achieve this angle.
Can Dr. Henry Lee solve a case that has baffled detectives? "19-year-old Ian Tracy was charged with first-degree murder for the shooting death of his girlfriend, Adasa Roll, after Virgin Island police concluded that the fatal shot had been fired from inside the vehicle. But Tracy continued to insist that the shot was fired by a masked robber standing outside the car during a struggle for the gun. The shape of the broken glass around the hole suggests that the bullet probably came from inside the car, exiting through the windshield at a slightly downward angle.
Let's insert a probe, see what the trajectory looks like.
Following the same procedures used by police investigators, Dr. Lee attempted to pinpoint the position of the gun when it was fired by placing a probe through the bullet hole and working backwards. And he got similar results.
Tracy's statement says somebody from outside. If the shot say just clear the headrest, that should be, if we extend the trajectory backwards, somebody, the shooter, have to be like this direction, holding the gun way top in the head. I'm 5'8". I'm tiptoeing. I cannot achieve this angle. What's your height?
I'm 6'2".
Come over. Stand.
Well, I could do it, but it's ridiculous. I'm having the gun way over my head.
Yeah, so police investigation may be correct.
Dr. Lee's reconstruction of the bullet trajectory seemed to confirm the prosecution's version of what happened.
Let's see what does. When we compare my reconstruction with his reconstruction, it's identical. The shot has to fire from inside.
Dr. Lee had to break the bad news to Ian Tracy's attorney. But before leaving St. Thomas, Dr. Lee made one last stop, a courtesy visit to the Virgin Islands police, and they graciously allowed him to see the crime scene photographs. The moment he looked at them, Dr. Lee saw things that set off some alarms.
I noticed some concrete area where the vehicle supposed to park that night have a patch of blood.
According to a police officer who investigated the crime scene, the blood appeared to be fresh and wet. But it was a wide shot of the crime scene that interested Lee the most. It showed something he hadn't seen before, the terrain. Dr. Lee brought in a surveyor to determine the precise grade and pitch of the road. With these measurements, Lee could then compare the angle of the car on the sloping roadway to one parked on a level surface. The shooter was standing 4.5 inches higher than he would be on a level surface. It was now clear that the shot could have been made by an average height person.
Because the ground is not level, the passenger side is much lower than the real driver's side. That's why this angle can be achieved easily. A person with your height, even with my height, you can fire that shot through the window.
For Dr. Lee, the existence of small drops of blood outside the car were equally intriguing, since they were exactly where Ian said the shooter would have been standing. Did it belong to someone other than Ian or the victim? While the defense waited for the DNA results, Dr. Lee tackled the question of why there was gunshot residue on Ian's hands and face if he didn't pull the trigger.
It's also consistent with an individual who has his hands in close proximity to a fired gun. That is, if I grab onto a gun and struggle with the gun as it's fired, I will, in fact, get gunshot residue distributions as well on those surfaces of the hand.
The defense team also discovered one final clue in the police investigative reports: minute traces of gunpowder residue on the outside of the car. At his lab in Connecticut, Dr. Lee conducted a gunshot residue test. This test confirmed the police investigative report.
Once the car parked, Ms. Rowe climbed to the back seat. She is sitting towards the rear of the back seat. And Tracy, the next, and climbed to the back seat. Two of them hugging Tracy noticed a black shadow. This shadow continued around the vehicle. A person wearing a ski mask sticking a gun into the vehicle. Tracy pushed the gun away, bang. Meanwhile, they struggled for the weapons. Bang, the second shot hit Miss Raw.
Dr. Lee was convinced Ian Tracy's version of events was true. And finally, the results from the DNA analysis of the blood spatters confirmed it.
There's a third person. That person is a male. We took an oath to protect the innocent people, at the same time to look for evidence to link the guilty one.